Messianic Judaism is a movement that combines Christianity, most importantly, the Christian belief that Jesus is the Messiah, with elements of Judaism and Jewish tradition. Its current form emerging in the 1960s and 1970s, Messianic Judaism believes that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah and God the Son, and that the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament both are authoritative scriptures. Salvation in Messianic Judaism is achieved only through acceptance of Jesus as one's Savior, and Jewish laws or customs which are followed do not contribute to salvation. Indeed, belief in the messiahship, power to save, and divinity of Jesus, which Messianic Judaism professes, is the defining distinction between Christianity and Judaism. Other Christian groups usually accept Messianic Judaism as a form of Christianity. Many adherents of Messianic Judaism are ethnically Jewish, and argue that the movement is a sect of Judaism. Many refer to themselves in Hebrew as Mamonim, not converts, and Yehudim, not Notzrim. Jewish organizations, and the Supreme Court of Israel in cases related to the law of return, have rejected this claim, and instead consider Messianic Judaism to be a form of Christianity. From 2003 to 2007, the movement grew from 150 Messianic houses of worship in the United States to as many as 438. With over 100 in Israel and more worldwide, congregations are often affiliated with larger Messianic organizations or alliances. As of 2012 update, population estimates for the United States were between 175,000 and 250,000 members, for Israel, between 10,000 and 20,000 members, and an estimated total worldwide membership of 350,000. History. Pre-19th century efforts by Jewish Christians to proselytize Jews began in the 1st century, when Paul the Apostle preached at the synagogues in each city he visited. However, early accounts of missions to the Jews, such as Epiphanius of Salami's record of the conversion of Count Joseph of Tiberias, and Sizomon's accounts of other Jewish conversions, do not mention converted Jews playing any leading role in proselytization. Notable converts from Judaism who themselves attempted to convert other Jews are more visible in historical sources beginning around the 13th century, when Jewish convert Pablo Cristiani attempted to convert other Jews. This activity, however, typically lacked any independent Jewish Christian congregations, and was often imposed through force by organized Christian churches. In the 15th and 16th centuries, Jewish Christians occupying professorships at the European universities began to provide translations of Hebrew texts. Scholars such as Paul Núñez Coronel, Alfonso de Zamora, Alfonso de Alcala, Domenico Gerasolimitano and Giovanni Battista Dona were actively engaged in spreading Jewish scholarship. 19th and early 20th centuries. In the 19th century, some groups attempted to create congregations and societies of Jewish converts to Christianity, though most of these early organizations were short-lived. Early formal organizations run by converted Jews include the Anglican London Society for Promoting Christianity Among the Jews of Joseph Frey, which published the first Yiddish New Testament in 1821, the B'nai Abraham Association, established by Frey in 1813 with a group of 41 Jewish Christians who started meeting at Jews' Chapel, London for prayers Friday night and Sunday morning, and the London Hebrew Christian Alliance of Great Britain founded by Dr. Karl Schwartz in 1866. The September 1813 meeting of Frey's B'nai Abraham congregation at the rented Jews' Chapel in Spitalfields is sometimes pointed to as the birth of the semi-autonomous Hebrew Christian movement within Anglican and other established churches in Britain. Though the non-Anglican minister of the chapel at Spitalfields evicted Frey and his congregation only 3 years later, and Frey severed his connections with the society. A new location was found in the Episcopal Jews Chapel Abrahamic Society, registered in 1835. In Eastern Europe, Joseph Rabinovitz established a Hebrew Christian mission and congregation called Israelites of the New Covenant in Kishinev, Ukraine in 1884. Rabinovitz was supported from overseas by the Christian Hebraist Franz Delitzsch, translator of the first modern Hebrew translation of the New Testament. In 1865, Rabinovitz created a sample order of worship for Sabbath morning service based on a mixture of Jewish and Christian elements. Mark John Levy pressed the Church of England to allow members to embrace Jewish customs. In the United States, a congregation of Jewish converts to Christianity was established in New York City in 1885. In the 1890s, immigrant Jewish converts to Christianity worshipped at the Methodist Hope of Israel mission on New York's Lower East Side while retaining some Jewish rites and customs. In 1895, the 9th edition of Hope of Israel's Our Hope magazine carried the subtitle, A Monthly Devoted to the Study of Prophecy into Messianic Judaism. The first use of the term, Messianic Judaism, Hope of Israel, was controversial. Other missionary groups accused its members of being Judaizers, and one of the two editors of Our Hope magazine, O.C. Gabelin, eventually repudiated his views and, as a result, was able to become a leader in the mainstream Christian evangelical movement. In 1894, Christian missionary and Baptist minister Leopold Cohn, a convert from Judaism, founded the Brownsville Mission to the Jews in the Brownsville section of Brooklyn, New York as a Christian mission to Jews. After several changes in name, structure and focus, the organization is now called Chosen People Ministries and has operations and staff in the U.S. and 11 other nations. Missions to the Jews saw a period of growth between the 1920s and the 1960s. In the 1940s and 50s, missionaries in Israel, including the Southern Baptists, adopted the term Mashitchiim to counter negative connotations of the word Notzriim. The term was used to designate all Jews who had converted to Protestant evangelical Christianity. The Messianic Judaism movement, 1960s onwards. Messianic Judaism itself arose in the 1960s and 70s. In the 1970s, a growing number of young Jews who had converted to Christianity were committed to maintaining a culturally Jewish lifestyle, in the mode advocated by Rabinovitz in the 19th century, going against the thinking of the older members of the Hebrew Christian movement and evoking Paul the Apostle. They believed that different methods of evangelism of Jews were needed. They looked to and adopted some of the evangelizing techniques of Jews for Jesus. According to author Peter Hucken, the new thrust that turned Hebrew Christians into Messianic Jews was distinctly charismatic. This reflected the influence of the charismatic Jesus movement at the same period. These younger members pressed the HCAA to change the outdated name of the Hebrew Christian Alliance of America to the Messianic Jewish Alliance of America. In 1915, when the HCAA was founded, it had consistently assuaged the fears of fundamentalist Christians by emphasizing that it is not a separate denomination but only an evangelistic arm of the evangelical church, and insisted that it would be free of these Judaizing practices, now and forever. Martin Chernoff, who was president of the HCAA from 1971 to 1975, led the effort to shift the organization's focus. In June 1973, a motion was made to change the name of the HCAA to the Messianic Jewish Alliance of America, and the name was officially changed in June 1975. According to David A. Rausch, the name change, however, signified far more than a semantical expression. It represented an evolution in the thought processes and religious and philosophical outlook toward a more fervent expression of Jewish identity. The Messianic Israel Alliance, an organization of over 130 Messianic congregations and ministries, was formed in 1999. Messianic Seal of Jerusalem. The Messianic seal of Jerusalem is a symbol for Messianic Judaism and Christians. The symbol is seen as a depiction of the menorah, an ancient Jewish symbol, together with the ikthes, an ancient depictive representation of Christian faith and the community of Jesus' followers, creating a Star of David at the intersection. The Messianic seal is not the only symbol of Messianic Judaism, which has other graphical representations such as the menorah and Star of David, the cross and the Star of David, among others. There is an ongoing dispute as to whether or not the seal dates from the 1st century AD, or if it is a 20th century invention.